Okay, so I've been wanting to put out a video like this one for some time. So I think this is probably the best video I could think of doing based on starting out trying this blank screen video thing. Okay, so today I want to talk about submission. Now, my perspective on submission has changed so much throughout the years because I was quite certain I was quite a submissive person in terms of saying that, like physically I would submit once I thought that the person that I was with was deserving, or I would submit on the basis like I wouldn't submit in life because I have somewhat of a, well, some might say a rebellious spirit, but it's not really that. I'm always trying to like up my game, or challenge myself, or I'm very competitive just from a societal standpoint, a home, from environmental upbringing. But what I recognize is that a lot of people, well, women especially, and this is no backlash on the female community at all. So I don't want it to be misinterpreted in any way. But my idea of submission is like it was a conflicted idea because from the perspective that we generally should submit, but we refuse to on the basis of trying to lead when we don't have the capabilities of leading. And it's not even the capabilities of leading, but we're not positioned to lead. I think it's necessary to really understand yourself, overstand yourself, because the fact that you can't lead in a certain scenario or you don't have the authority to lead in that scenario doesn't make you less valuable. Do you understand? And I think it formulates from a basis of control as well, because from the control perspective, one might feel like one is giving up control if they submit as a woman to a man. I think one of the major concerns that women have as well is it possible for to submit to a man if you don't believe that he has the knowledge or the skills or the ability or the inclination or ultimately the design to be able to lead. Now, men have their own challenges that they go through, which is not up for discussion in this video. But from my perspective, what I did realize, I don't know, like what my audience is like in terms of religious perspectives. No, I don't really talk about religion that much. But me personally, and I don't like saying me personally, but me, I believe in one creator. Ultimately, if you believe in God, if you believe in universe, whatever you want to call it, but what I had to recognize, and I was going through some challenges in my own life, um, thinking that I could have done a lot of things with support, but also not necessarily, because I thought, well, I'll always get support one way or the other, because if there's a way, I need to find it to be able to do that. But sometimes it's necessary to go on a journey where when you go on that journey, you have to come to a realization of self. Now, in this reality, as it is designed, I'm a female. And this is like what I've been trying to say to quite a few people, like we are females. We do have a softer side. We do have we were designed to be able to facilitate nurturing and reproductivity and just growth, and but then from the perspective of the man being able to initiate, and not in all circumstances, but initiate and actually follow through on that so that it will be completed. It's necessary for, well, my own realization is that for me to understand my place as a woman and as a female, Because what I recognized was that when I was operating on that tangent of feeling like I could do it, or I needed to do it to be able to safeguard myself, control certain variables in my environment and so on, I needed to recognize in myself that it wasn't really designed that way. And this is no like deviation from people's choices on a independent or unique or categoric level. But for a long time, I recognized that I was attracting certain people into my life and vibrations into my life that would actually be consistent with saying, "Oh, it's all right. You're good. You're like you can do it on your own." And the reason why upon reflection, I was attracting all of that was because I was actually operating on the tangent of saying, "Yes, I can do it on my own. Yes, it's necessary to do it on my own." But when after going through, yeah, after going through so much, I had to come to the realization that I was I was actually creating that same mindset that I was in, and my selection mechanism was based on the mindset I was in, and it was justified at the time, but I wasn't even paying attention to the idea of submission from the perspective of saying a man not had the authority to, but acknowledging a less arrogant approach to saying that the man is, and I don't want to say this in a way that's offensive to anybody, but the man is the head. Do you understand? Because at the end of the day, I've watched quite a few YouTube videos and all that, and people say that the man is the head, but and a lot of people fight against the concept, but the man is really the head. The woman is also in a position of saying yes. Um, she's skilled, she's knowledgeable, she has the characteristic traits that align with making good decisions and so on. But ultimately, from a protection standpoint and from almost reinforcing certain things within the context of not only the household but from a relationship standpoint, there aren't, well, I don't know the statistics on it, but I don't think there are a lot of women out there who actually want a man that can't protect them, or want a man that is not capable of moving himself to the on the higher tangent of who he is. Yes, we look at all the data and we actually see that there are variations in the data in terms of income status and education and a lot of different variables. However, from the perspective that I don't think women, they focus on that, but ultimately it comes down to how the woman feels in herself and how the man makes her feel, to the point where she has that willingness to let go and to say he's in control. And some men might like women being in control, but even that in itself is a method of submission, because even if the man says that he likes when the woman is in control, he is stating what he likes and saying that is what I'm receptive to. That is what I want. So it's still an element of submission, but in a different way. So women who say at the end of the day, like they're in control, they're the decision maker, they're this, they're that. It's really them readjusting themselves to the formulation of the idea that it's pleasing to the man. However, there's another level to it, because a woman can actually accept that it's pleasing to the man and readjust for reasons outside of emotional and physical reasons. But ultimately, the vibration or the energy that the female is emitting will definitely be felt by the man, and in reality will show up in different ways as to whether or not it's true submission. And this is not to like move away from the fact that some men are not on the timeline actually equipped or ready to be able to receive that. So they might be inclined to be very skeptical or searching or just trying to reach to their own level of consciousness within themselves. And the female might be doing the same because they don't understand that outside of the design that they have, there's an order to everything and things operate within a certain way of being, irrespective of whether or not we choose it. It's still the way that the world operates. So I guess I had to come to a point where I really recognize it, like I had to grow in myself first of all and get a more of an understanding of self, understanding, overstanding of self, being able to look at self from different perspectives, but being able to recognize what the true strength of a man is and a man of good character without bashing other men that are learning on the timeline, and also recognizing that if those characteristic traits show up in a person or individual, then I mean they're learning to themselves. Do you understand? So one of the things that I tend to point out is that it's very necessary to, when choosing the person that you've chosen to be with, it's important to understand from a choice perspective that projection wise it's better. So those qualities might not be like highly defined, but the person shows the inclination. Yeah, sorry about that. The person shows the inclination to actually grow into those characteristic traits. So when choosing a partner, or not partner, but a lover, a friend, somebody that one feels comfortable submitting to, then I think it's better to project how you would be in the future and how you can project the possibility of them being, and to look at it from an not equal alignment, equal in that it works together, even if it is that the person has opposite qualities as compared to you. Now, in recognizing that, it was almost like I had to come to a humble place in myself where I had to see that there's an order to the way the world operates, the universe operates, whatever you believe in, God, whatever your religious perspective is, you know, um, and and really in myself acknowledging that there's value in my own choice. There's value in in my choice, so much to the point that if I submit, I can submit not only in the bedroom, but I can submit in life as well. And the reason why I can submit in life is because I think when when you're talking to someone and you actually hear truth, or it's logical, or it makes good sense and works, or as well the other person actually listens to your side of it, and without whatever works, because some relationships they do the criticism and constructively or aggressively, but it's accepting to both parties that it actually works. And more than one person can lead, but ultimately the way things work is that it's the few that lead. And as a woman, I had to find that place in myself where I understood that I wasn't less of a leader by submitting to a man. And actually, I think I could let go now. I could let go of the fear of not being able to tap into that balance that ultimately is what I was searching for, because that's how it was meant to be, for you to find balance. But if you're fighting against the natural order of things, then the conflict is not with you and those that you're around, or those that you serve, or you know we look outside of ourselves so much, trying to actually say pleasing others, and ultimately, hold on, because this video, yeah. So but the real issue sometimes is within self, because self has the ability to attract and detract the things that we want, or the individual wants. So after getting to the realization that really some of the encounters that I found myself in were consistent with my own learning as well, while I was projecting outside of myself and looking for other learning categories that were probably dealt with or generic, but ultimately I had a key um, point that I needed to come to in myself, where I was able to give in and like it and love it and value it and grow from it. Do you see what I'm saying? So I don't think it's difficult to tell people on who are still on the learning timeline, or who are not designed. It's not that they're not designed, they're not positioned to be able to receive certain things. But from a categoric standpoint, I can kind of see why there are so many challenges that people face with regards to some issues that could be avoidable, but maybe necessary for different types of people to learn in different ways. Do you understand? At different points on the timeline. So for me, it took me some time, and I think because I've come from experiences where there are control mechanisms, and this is just throughout my time in this world, in this reality. There are so many control mechanisms, but the control mechanisms can either shape you or break you. Or I'm sure there are other outcomes that we could talk about, but those control mechanisms are so deeply embedded in the psyche sometimes. Even if, as a woman, you want to submit, you find yourself deviating for protection reasons, or you find yourself going back to what seems a normal course of action, or what was observed from one's environment, or what was previously done by somebody else that is misunderstood or just does not match you as a person. So I think when you move from that perspective and you actually go through the point of actually submitting to, in my case, a female to a man, that's you acknowledging within yourself that there are things that are not only outside your control but greater than you on some level, without making you feel less than. So that suggests a lot of qualities in you that you've evolved as a person, and that you're important, and it doesn't denigrate you, and there's no shame in it, or there's no fight or challenge. It actually adds a respectful element to the whole experience, where a woman can just be a woman. Because there are some men out there that are actually, and I've said this recently quite a few times, they're treating women as if they are men, and the women are acting as if they are men. And it's justifiable on some level because of the great challenges that society faces, in terms of there's a lot of confusion, misconceptions, and misunderstanding about certain functionalities, and one of the main functionalities is self. So I kind of get it, but I can see where, if we move away from, as a possibility, that mindset of thinking that being a woman is almost from a survival standpoint, that one should act like a man. Although some women are comfortable with that, so that's no judgment, but I'm just talking from my perspective. That is very tiring. One is very tiring, it's very draining. There are some things you can't function on the level like a man would, or in certain scenarios. Yes, you could be able to do it, but the natural reaction of the man that is embedded in him to be able to respond a certain way will come through quicker in certain scenarios than it would for the woman. And the woman will want to be protected, or she will protect if it's necessary, especially if it's her offsprings. Do you understand? So when I came to the full understanding that it was as if I was having a war within myself, and there were so many things that were showing me that this conflicts with the order. And because it conflicts with the order, not that order is always the best outcome or design, but in this scenario, this conflicts with the order, so you're not getting the outcome you want because you're not following the procedures that align with principles that you can't change, that was put in place by God, the universe, whatever anybody wants to call it from their religious or belief viewpoint. So those things are put in place, and they're put in place for a reason, because it's logical. When you get to that point now, you can actually see where it's almost like you freed yourself from a burden. And even though there is no real guarantee about the outcome, there's a sense of surety in knowing that the person that you chosen, or that was chosen based on your growth on the timeline, or the person that you've chosen based on you coming to that realization, that you have enough knowledge and confidence in self to know that it will be okay. It will be okay. And believe me, the other factors, like people who are saying, oh, women are money hungry, men are, so many scenarios and statements about men and women and their approach to relationship. But when you find that individual, or you find that place in yourself, those worries, it's almost as if they go right through the door in a way. Because if you look at self first and you look at the external environment, how that operates, it's almost as if you obtain a certainty in knowing that there will be a way found, and it will be sufficient enough, because the pleasures that are experienced outside of those worries, which will be sorted anyway, because they have to be, because you've grown in yourself and you've come to a point where you understand your own strength and the strength of the person that you've aligned yourself with. You know that from a value standpoint, the values that are shared with you and that person, that you will find ways to overcome the external factors, like financial factors, like challenges that life brings your way, and so on. So I just wanted to put out this video to acknowledge that. I mean, I think I was always submissive in some way, but I think I've always said, yes, I don't submit in life, but I'll submit in the bedroom if I have to, or I'll submit in the bedroom. But really, in looking at my journey, I didn't really submit, and submission as well. I would highlight just in the last part that it's acknowledging that it's more than one person working together towards an objective or a greater cause. So if women are out there saying they want to let go but they don't know how to, or they want to work with somebody, or they have these characteristic traits and these long lists about the man must have this, the man must have that. I think ultimately you just know when you know, and when it shows up, if you're actually looking with the right eyes, it will be so obvious to you that there's nothing that you can do but to give into the natural outcomes and the order of what is. It's almost as if there's no discussion about submission. It just automatically happens. It's as if there's something inside of you that shows that respect, that actually is excited about it as well. So for all those out there that are thinking about, what's gonna happen to me, whether you're a single parent, or you're single, or in general you've had some relationships that haven't worked out, or you're in a relationship now and you're not really happy and you're searching. Sometimes looking outside of ourselves and looking at the external things is not necessarily the way, but it is kind of our way, because inevitably, if there's a desire within oneself to grow, progress, and ultimately achieve certain outcomes, financially, wealth, financial outcomes, wealth, balance in life, so on, and the list goes on. I think we as women, we need to kind of look at ourselves and the role that we play in the overall disruptions that are occurring in society, and not look at ourselves as less than, because of coming to the point where we recognize that it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's actually really exciting to be able to trust yourself, and to be able to trust that only good things can come. And even with the challenges and the bad things supposedly that come, that it will work out in a good way, because the arrogance and the ego isn't involved as much. the values are embedded and it's safe to do so. So be encouraged, and this is just one of the videos that are gonna come out this year. So as you see on the channel, we've been doing a lot of work, just trying to look at from the perspective of the overall goals that people want to achieve, but not only look at it from, going after opening a business or financial outcomes, or just looking at it from how to build a house, buy a car, this, that material perspective. But we actually put out some videos now looking at the emotional and the human side of it in terms of experience with relationships, society, family, the household, and bringing it all together in the hope that you know um,